we do assessment and evaluation for the children when children do not do well and not following teachers' instructions and directions, especially kindergartners and first graders and second graders. And we refer the child, and even though before we have a special education referrals process, we have still just a referral process. A long way we have to make sure their difficulties really related to potential disabilities or not. However, I insist I'm just developing. I developed somehow just draft developing. I made a screening checklist for classroom teachers. So that is for the K to second grade teachers and special education teachers to use. So it's a screening checklist. It's for the cognitive readiness. So it's from the sensory part, sensitivity, undersensitivity, oversensitivity, craving sensitivity, attention, and then sensory discrimination, visual perception, and so hold this cognitive foundation so we can check. Again, this is for teacher-led screening. So I 100% believe evaluators, the people assess a child's capabilities and abilities, and teachers who teaches should be same people, same person. I know, cognitive evaluation to know the intellectual disabilities, intellectual abilities, that is a certified professional can do. Usually in a school psychologist. Psychologists can do it, they did a psychology background. Other than that, we have a educational assessment that is special education teachers can do, any teachers can do. They have a training in assessment. Most of school initial teacher preparation programs, they require assessment class. So that's why we train teachers so they can address, administer those assessment. And all REP, we need a present, functional skills and present skills and functions and academic, skills and functional performance. We have those. We must have those present level. So based on that, we can plan next year's individualized education. So teachers must use standardized evaluation. So teachers know how to evaluate the child, right? I know this achievement part. So this achievement means academic achievement. So teachers know that. So these teachers see their, again, K to second grade teachers and special education teachers, they know students are behind, and then it's before. That's RTI, right? We just still wait, not wait. However, it seems like we're not waiting. However, I personally believe as an educator, we should evaluate the screen every kindergarten to be children. So in the summer, so this upcoming August, end of August or beginning of September, they're gonna start schooling, and that summer, we should screen every child in the school district level. So who screens? Their kindergarten teachers, first grade teachers, second grade teachers. So school district may pay teachers in the summer about just 2-3 weeks or something, because those 3 grade teachers in that school district, and then in a school, let's say about it could be 10 teachers, so it could be 6 teachers based on the school size. These teachers know those kindergartners, right, numbers. So they screen these kindergartners with that checklist, hopefully I made. It is a very detailed content there to check. It's different from those standardized evaluation. Standardized evaluation, we don't have that many questions, and then we don't go even that much details about the directly related to children's school education, academic education, especially early literacy education. It is very important because the children fail in early literacy and then they will fail academic learning. It's no doubt, right? And then we have many children fail in early literacy. That means that they have cognitively, they have some issues. So we have to make sure those children. So I call it student profile. Every kindergartner should have a student profile. That student profile has those student profiling about the child study. So it's about the child themselves, their family background, and then this child sensory part, and they have under sensitivity, over sensitivity, any items, and then craving sensitivity. This is a part of ADHD's symptoms, right? And then they have attention, selective attention, and sustained attention, and focused attention. If a child has a little bit of autism or intellectual disabilities, and then we see divided attention and alternating attention. So if we could see their potential cognitive flexibility. Okay, so then they just those attention, and then we must check their visual attention. It is very important. Okay, visual attention is like a conscious visual attention. It's not about eyesight. Their eyesight is really good. However, they could have a visual attention deficit. If they have a visual attention deficit, that means they're gonna have maybe learning disabilities potentially, because they could not, visually they see, they cannot recognize. Okay, they could not see those clear lines, clear color, clear shapes. It's those details. And then sensory discrimination is about the global views, right? So they can name each item, so even though they don't see the details yet. However, this visual attention is the beginning of seeing details. So when they see A, capital A, and then they see this slant line, and then this slant line, and then horizontal line, they see those shapes. And then B, and then half moon, and then, line. So that's how they see details, and then they could see it, and then consciously, and then they can make a picture of it. And then visual perception is very important, just a general visual perception. So, figure ground, especially spatial, relationship, visual spatial relationships, right? And then what else do we have? It's a form constancy, and then visual closure, and then we have a visual memory, visual sequential memory, visual pattern following, and visual analysis and synthesis. It's just like, forever. It's all about the visual part. That visual perception is of the learning concrete information. That concrete information means physical object and factual information. So those are all teachers must test them, not evaluator. Okay, teachers and evaluator should be in the same person, as long as it's not about the cognitive evaluation. Functional behavior assessment and behavior intervention plan. Behavior intervention plan is a later thing, because like in a cognitive evaluation we do, and then we develop IEP, right? Individualized education program. Functional behavior assessment is the same. We have a district-wide behavior specialist. Most districts these days have. That was pretty much, new position. In the past, we didn't have. I believe it is a part of this, autism prevalence, and then many, behavioral issues. Schools have emotional behaviors, and then these behavior specialists, more like a real specialist. However, we don't have a behavior major. Behavior management major is what I'm saying. Even though we have an ABA master's degrees, some universities have. However, it's not just a behavior specialist. We train student behaviors. So those people evaluate this functional behavior assessment. And then the teacher knows about the child most, right? Teacher worked with the child, teacher knows about the parents, teacher has all those information. However, there was an unfamiliar behavior specialist, that person does not know about the child. So, and then people may think, oh, that's why, this behavioralist could, assess the child more objectively. It could be true. However, what is a functional behavior assessment? That is finding the function of behaviors, right? So if we train teachers, teachers know what kind of things could be a function. So the child does not have any choice but communicate behaviorally. So teachers know this. And then we have to practice training teachers. However, in the general education, elementary and secondary education, the most of about 20-25% of nationwide ITP programs probably require classroom behavior management. And then that one class is not even enough, because most of people, even parents, they cannot train their children to behave, their own children. It is very hard these days, right? And then these teachers gotta do somebody else's children. It's not one child. It's a group of children. Even though, Sugai and Korean Mandler, they said, 70 to 80% of children usually follow teachers' instructions and then directions, so they behave. So it is about the 20 to 30% of children. And teachers, we don't train teachers. And then most of the teachers are still early 20s, right? When they started the school, teaching this profession, it is very challenging. 21, 22, 23, 24, never had their own children, right? It is a very, very challenging job. And then initial teacher preparation programs, so we don't train teachers to how to manage it. So it is about the teacher efficacy in student management and learning environment management. So student management and learning environment management. It is about all teachers' sense about noticing the child's struggles and then proactively go and help and walk around to see the children and proximity control and all these basic knowledge and skills. Not many teachers got trained when they are in the teacher preparation program. So, okay. So functional behavior assessment is the same. I know this is legally, we gotta do it. However, to be honest, how much this, we put a lot of effort on functional behavior, functional behavior assessment, those data collection part. However, behavior intervention part is not really like covering all, even though FBA is for the function finding, so we could meet the child's needs and then shape their behaviors. However, behavior intervention plan, you read, and then pretty much it's all focused on behaviors. How to, using all those ABA as a knowledge, and then use ABA knowledge, and then how we can just work on them. And most of those behavior intervention plan is like a token economy based ones. So token economy based ones, what does it tell? It is if then, right? If you behave like this, then you're gonna have these tokens. So who's first? It's not teacher-led one. It is a child-led one. child gotta do first, and then they can have tokens. It's not management. It's not teaching. It's not education. It is still about those kind of conditional ones. So it's like any classroom, so you go in a traffic light token systems, right? Smiley token systems, scholarly money token systems. I'm not saying these are wrong. We use this for class-wide PBS system and management system. I teach my student to do that. That is about the student management in the classroom. However, specifically, the child who needs functional behavior assessment, we put a lot of energy and time there, and then money too, because those specialists we have to pay. So we put there, and they did amazing jobs on data collections. However, there is not connecting to linked to their behavior intervention part. So most of the teachers struggle with one child with their studied those behavior issues, emotional issues in second grade, third grade, and they are just keep going all each grade and year based. Not many children really because of this functional behavior assessment and then this behavior intervention plan, it worked, and then children became angels and then productive learners, right? So we all understand those ground. However, number one, if the child does not have any disabilities, especially not the moderate to severe, those intellectually very low level, except that most of children's having these behavior issues pretty much is because of that academic learning. Whatever classroom teaches, they cannot participate. They are not productive learners there. And then they feel very isolated in the classroom. And it's not they're exploring out their loneliness there. It is just they have nothing to do. They cannot follow teachers' teaching. And then it's very boring classroom. And they have to stay there until teacher just finished her talking, his talking, and then give out all those worksheets. So of course, it's all seems like, they feel like in a foreign language. So this whole thing, so what I'm trying to say is the teacher and evaluator should be the same person, same people. And then so that same people, because the teacher is a teacher, evaluator cannot be a teacher. Evaluator is there, but teachers can be evaluator. So we train teachers better, more specifically. And then these days, we see these children and then teachers' background and those age limits and all that, we see that. And then we should, at least they should take at least 2 courses in classroom management 1, and then individualized behavior management 1. I always say student management and learning environment management instead of saying behavior. It's more like a student management because it's human beings, and students is first, not behavior is first. So we see the child and then students themselves, so what difficulties they have. So we have to work on those deficiencies. We have to provide diagnostic education and instructions and remediate those deficiencies. And teachers must know that, okay, how to do it. And then teachers know those behaviors are all consequences of these precursory deficiencies, difficulties, weaknesses. And then teachers should know how to remediate all those precursory part. And then while doing that, and then they see the behaviors going down. So while working on that, and then the behaviors are just weakened. Okay, and then easily you could work on those behavior together while you're remediating. Your teacher and student relationship is probably becomes stronger, more trusting relationship and social emotional trusting relationship. And then it's a solid relationship. It doesn't make sense, right? So that's what I just propose, and this teacher and evaluator should be together and should be the one person, and evaluator cannot be a teacher, so teacher should be an evaluator. Easily they can do that. And then those we need the instrument for that. So detail the instrument, screening instrument, and I developed those instruments still it's a draft. However, right now my students are using it and they are taking that instrument and going out to classroom and collect the data. But a lot of data there, it should be a teacher, because one-to-one, you sit down with a child and you have to test the child. It's not tested, you teach and know it. I always say you do not test the children. You have to teach them, then you know their learning pace and intellectual capacity. You can see that. So that instrument, once this instrument completed, and then I really hope I can publish this, and then teachers could have this, use this, and school district use this, and just teachers know it's not, this screening instrument is not only for the test. It teaches the teachers what cognitive part the children must be equipped to move on in school education. So teachers know they must test. That's why they must test the children. They test, not test, they have to do this screening. So they know what these, oh, okay, John doesn't have this skill. Oh, he missed this one. He missed this one. All these cognitive part is just children pretty much develop from birth to 6 years old. Later part, those, later conceptual process, those later part is during those elementary to middle school. However, in the beginning, to receive sensory information and process and understand, comprehend, that's basic. And then probably age 2 to 3, they pretty much solidly develop these. However, many students these days miss those parts, not only disabilities. Okay, so teacher exactly knows what to work on. Oh, child, this attention, teacher knows, and then they know what to work on, what to remediate. That's why teacher and evaluator must be same person. Okay, I really hope, someday I could show and just teachers could use. However, I just want to talk about this one and teacher and evaluators jobs and what kind of discrepancy we could have if two different professionals do on one same child. Okay.